Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Frank and Candid on this Tuesday morning. Hope all is well. To the news. The gang that kidnapped 17 foreign missionaries in Haiti has demanded $1 million for the release of each abductee, thus $17 million in total. The Wall Street Journal reported this morning, citing a Haitian official. Earlier this week, the Christian Aid Ministries organization confirmed 17 of its employees, namely 16 U.S. nationals and 1 Canadian, have been abducted in Haiti. According to reports citing Haitian security officials, the missionaries were abducted from a bus that was taking them to the Port-au-Prince airport to drop off some members of the group before continuing to another destination. So, the saga continues in Haiti. How they pull out of this, ever, I don't know. But when it's not one thing, it's the next. All right. This morning, I want to talk a little bit on the political side. Talk a little bit about politicians versus all other professions and see how they stack up, and try to understand from our conversation why politicians have this urge to continue forever and ever. Why politicians won't retire. Why politicians don't see succession planning as important. Now think of all the professions that you can. Think of the service sector. They all have a retirement period, correct? But politicians don't seem to have one. Why not? Even priests, who are in the service sector, they do retire. I believe it's at age 75 or something like that. The church says the priests will retire. But not politicians. Politicians who have tasted what real power is, all the comforts and the popularity that politics can offer, they never want to retire. They wish, as they say, to die as a great leader or die in their boots. Politicians are people obsessed with and have this hunger for power. And once they are intoxicated with the power, they never want to give it up. Why is that? It becomes a power addiction. As long as they are in power, they will be revered by their supporters. And the moment the politicians are out of power and have no authority, they lose that respect. They're not given the same respect. And so they don't want to lose that. Another part of it is that the reality is, these days, in many parts of the world, to amass wealth and to easily become rich, there is no shorter route than that of being a politician. If you look across continents, you see some of the people who are at the top of the list when it comes to riches. They are politicians. Politics is no longer or no more about service. It is for some a big-time money-making business, but using the label of service. And they always want to serve, They're always ready to tell you that they are humble servants, right? But once you give that opportunity, they use it to become rich and amass power and wealth. Look at politicians, wherever they may be. Notice the amount of wealth that most of them possess. There are few outliers. There are few who left office poor, as we would say. And in those cases, other people look at them and say they're stupid. They should not leave. They left office poor, so they're stupid, they're dumb. Therein lies the truth as to why they don't want to retire at all. Let's look at the business fraternity. The business fraternity, for the most part, has realized the importance of well-managed and structured succession planning. There seems to be the growing realization that succession planning is critical to the future and the long-term health of any organization. With structured planning, an organization is assured a pipeline of leadership talent with sufficient depth and experience to take over the leadership of an organization whenever the incumbent departs. And so it's important to keep grooming, identifying and grooming the leadership for the future. And that is why I like to see when new people jump into the arena and take the bold step. It's not an easy career, not an easy profession, but we try to encourage the younger people to get involved in the profession and try and make a difference, bring new ideas. But if they're part of a structure, part of an organization that doesn't really believe in succession planning, they have a difficult time breaking through unless they're going to go out, which they could, and do it on their own outside of that, the party structure or something else. And while I say that, I must give my own congratulations to the brand new candidate in number 1, my friend Shani Gray, who has now accepted that role as next person to try to represent that constituency. But for many political parties, however, when a new leader has to take over, the transition is seldom a smooth one. And the failure to effectively execute and manage succession planning leads to many disastrous consequences. And there are many examples to illustrate this negative impact. Political party leaders refusing to step down and using the pretext that their departure would create instability, because only they alone could maintain stability. And this is usually a telltale sign that the leader has failed to carry out that important leadership responsibility to groom talent, to groom the next leader. It says something about the leader who believes he or she cannot leave, otherwise everything will break apart. So it means that during the time you were in leadership, you did nothing to make sure that there is stability when the inevitable happens, that you must leave. And so as you go on, you say that you can't leave because the whole structure, the whole party would decimate, It says something about you, the leader. Parties with massive following, self-destructing and imploding when there's a change, or sometimes the change is not voluntarily. There are factions developing within parties and infighting, flaring up as the members, the comrades, they all jostle for power. Proper succession planning curtails this kind of bloodletting, which has come to characterize changes in political leadership. The politics of leadership succession is of crucial importance to the development of political regimes more generally. And while smooth successions can increase the performance, the legitimacy, and the stability of a given regime, badly handled or failed successions can put the regime under serious pressure and even trigger its demise. And the latter is true in particular for leader-centered and power-concentrating authoritarian regimes. When the party or the organization is all about the current leader, whoever he or she may be, that in itself is a problem. It is the whole power and the whole leadership is all centered around one individual. That's not a good position to be in. Indeed, bringing about a succession to long-standing charismatic leaders is inherently problematic. Yet, even in many established democracies where they are committed to routine and no drama political turnovers to the greatest possible extent, issues of leadership succession have also figured prominently. It is a true testament of one's leadership skills and ability when you can facilitate a smooth succession, because part of the responsibility of leadership is to make sure that that can happen down the road whenever it is that you made a decision or somebody else did make a decision that you have to exit. But part of the problem is that a lot of the politicians do not feel they'll ever make that decision, don't feel that they'll ever want to or be required to make that decision to exit. They would rather stay forever and ever and ever. No succession planning. And that is true in every corner of the world, really. You can find these things happening where people want to be in power for life. It is true sometimes in private business as well, but it is more prominent an issue in politics because there's a certain amount of power, and it's not so much so that I have found that it is about the money in the sense of the salary you make, because most politicians, if you look at their salaries, I mean, it's no big deal. But with the power that they gain from the position, there's a lot more to be gained financially than the salary itself. And so sometimes when you look at the politicians and you look at the salary that that position pays, and you look at what happens to their wealth over a couple of years, a couple of short years, you got to say to yourself, well, how did he or she manage that based on the salary we know that they get? But therein lies the truth about why politicians love their jobs so much. It is not about service for most part. It is more about, once you get there, how you can serve self. And that's unfortunate. Succession planning, important concept, but ignored by many politicians, sometimes to their own peril. That's my take. 465-2555 is the number if you want to weigh in. Also, the U.S. number, 718-577-2916. If that's more convenient for you, feel free to challenge me or weigh in on any of what I just said for our discussion today. All right, we will take a break, and when we come back, those numbers are the numbers you can use to give me a call and let me hear from you on the subject.
It's the end of Summer Madness sale, and it's only at Courts Optical for a limited time only. Buy one pair of glasses and get the second pair free. Plus, if you come in before September 17th, you will get an extra 30% discount or special offer when you trash your old pair of frames in the Optical price bin. No cash, no problem. Shop with Ready Finance and pay $0 for 60 days. Plus, walk away with a free pair of sunglasses. Make an appointment online today at courtsoptical.com and ask us about our free blue block and free eye exams. Beat the summer blues and save on your new eyewear with our end of summer madness sale.
It's only just a phase. Once we're vaccinated, and everybody gon' be safe. Everybody gon' be one safe. One people. We are roll up to roll up, yeah. Cause no man's alone. Do what's right, cause I love you, brother, my sister. And we're in this together, my sister, my brother. I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much. I think it's better for us, yeah, yeah. It's better for us, yeah. I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much, yeah, yeah. It's better for us. Tell your mommy to let it roll out.
Bless up, Dejo here, and I'm doing my part in the fight against COVID-19 by following all safety protocols and, most importantly, rolling up my sleeve for the vaccine. So I'm encouraging you to do the same, because that's our best shot of protecting ourselves, our family, and our friends. So don't wait, vaccinate. Let's roll up to roll out.
Frank and Candid this Tuesday morning. And this morning we are exploring the subject of succession planning and why politicians refuse to have a successor and refuse to retire. Let's go to the phone and say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Good morning, Mr. Norris.
Good morning, sir.
How are you, man?
I am well. You?
I'm doing great. Mr. Norris, I want to touch Barbados on the topic of separating from the UK. I think we know that Trinidad and Tobago has separated, and I think Guyana and another Caribbean island I think we need to lend support to this move that is happening. Today, you and me, Mr. Nayas, and anyone who choose to can now travel from Barbados to Kenya. Today, you and me and anyone who choose can travel from Jamaica to Nigeria without having to go through the UK or the West. Now, Ethiopia has kicked out 7 UN officials, and today the UN is demanding evidence for those 7 officials that has been kicked out. Here, the UN is demanding evidence as to why those 7 were kicked out of Ethiopia. When these people come into our space, they rape our women, they slaughter our people, and the UN are silent. Today they're asking, they're demanding evidence. Now, had it not been for China and Russia standing up for Ethiopia, things would have escalated more seriously. Mr. Nayas, we need to raise our voices because we are one people.
Caller, did you have any input on the subject at hand this morning?
You touched on Haiti, didn't you?
No, I did not.
Okay, I must have missed your topic. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But Mr. Nayas, we need to let our voices be heard, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is detriment to our survival.
Okay.
These people will not be a game, and we need to get on board. Thank you for hearing.
Sure, no problem. All right. You got a caller there? Let's go to the caller. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yeah, good morning, Tony.
Good morning.
Good topic. Now, succession plan, whether in leadership or a candidate in the party, a winning candidate in the party representing maybe a constituency, winning seat, I always believe in succession plan because I believe in mold the party and he strengthen the young men and women who want to be a politician. You understand? But because in some political party, a politician might be 70 years, he don't got 20, 30 years in politics. And because in a community seat, in a constituency, he gonna run. He not gonna try mold somebody to come up behind him. And I believe that when a politician with 70 years, whether in leadership or whatever, you retire unless someone move on. Because I believe it strengthens the party more. Because young people will be there, future politicians will be there. They hear that they're going to take over, and that is good. Look at the young lady there from constituency 1. She's a young lady. I get to listen to her everything yesterday because I was doing some work. And she's sounding good. That is what you got to do. Bring them in the early. Do not bring them in the late when election just maybe 2 months, 3 months. You bring them early and let the consistency know who they're dealing with. And next thing again, Brother Tony, look at, you ain't got to go far. Ralph Gonzalez, Keith Mitchell. You know, because maybe they could win the seat. They're still there as leader and leader. Support them all, somebody's in the party. Look at our leader, farmer leader here too. You know? This is thing and keep the party backward. It strengthen the party. And Brother Tony before go, he got some people in this federation, right? I don't know what happened to them. I remember when they had the Bastia High School saga. When we was protesting, not 2015, with the Bastia High School. I remember that the nuts lady was one in front, going on our government quarter. Sometimes she won protesting, say they want to poison people, they want to kill people. And now she is the biggest critic now of the government because the government protest against the high school and wherever was up the damage to the high school. She's one of the biggest critic now, and she was behind saying the former Prime Minister want to poison the children. All right then, Tony.
Well,
just want to get out that.
Well, all citizens have a right to protest whatever they so feel that they need to protest, and that's a citizen's right. You may agree or disagree. But let's go back to the phones. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning, Tony.
Good morning.
Well, politicians and politics has changed over a period of time, eh? Once upon when you won for politics, the nationals or the people in the country didn't look for, we didn't care about things, we didn't care about the education standard. But right now we have to be careful who we appoint to go to represent us in the world. So maybe that's one reason why you see one of the people, because one may have a good intention, but they say, oh yeah, you had a degree. You know, they use that one there. Mm-hmm. You got a degree. Another thing could happen too is that sometimes deep in the heart, the candidate want to go, you know, but who is so to self know what they will lose, and they nag him and assure him that he ain't ready to leave. Mm-hmm. So he just give in to that. But when it comes to age is only a number. And just say about when 75. Look at Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris is a young man, yeah? And he in the house a long time. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Somebody joined early and you think. But is the constituents and the Commonwealth we and all there have the candidates so disorganized because they believe in them and they want to disappoint them. Sometimes you say the money ain't all because sometimes your constituents want more out of it than you. They demand more out of salary than you. But I think the main thing is education. We can't afford to pick up somebody who ain't have no international learning and what's not, and don't know United Nations, and send them to be our Prime Minister. Everybody wants to have a doctorate, whether we don't know what a doctorate means, but it's so enlightening when you call it say, Doctor, this is the Prime Minister thinking. But I believe deep in Dr. Douglas' heart, he ain't really want to go in here. But some of the Holy Forces itself, they want to use him as a buffer. And if he really wants to be there, he should tell himself, I'm getting exhausted, because after one failure, you get energized to go to second round. But in the second round you fail. I think that's a time when you should really tell yourself, it's over. Mm-hmm. But I believe is the party people saying, well, no man, we can't afford to let you go. Mm-hmm. So politics has changed. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's because of the whole thing.
All right. Our discussion is about generally politicians and their inability to know when to leave. Good morning, welcome. Good morning, caller, you're live.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and Queen Nzinga, and in the spirit of the great Pan-Africanist Rastaman Peter Tarst, who makes 75 birthday, Earth Strong today, man. Brilliant brother. My favorite artist, man. Reggae artist. Even more than Marley. But that's for another time. Now, my beloved brother, how you doing? How the family?
We're all doing well. How about you?
Okay, before I get to you, let me just say this. I want you to invite Sister Gray as soon as possible on your program, my beloved brother. I know the people want to hear from her, including myself, and I have some questions for her, my beloved. Now, beloved, me get in succession plan. But that's a misnomer, beloved, because these black faces politicians, I'm talking about politicians in general, but I'm talking about people who supposed to be Africans and some Africans too. But look, let me start it on the African continent, beloved. We see what happened. Brother Mugabe, I love Brother Mugabe up to this day. But two fatal mistakes he made in prepare our people to run the agricultural program in Zimbabwe, and that was bring them Zimbabwe. And then he stayed on too long. And that was his demise, my beloved. That was my thing with Brother Mugabe. Great man. Regardless of who wants to say what, I will always love Brother Mugabe. Early days, struggle against apartheid, beloved, but stay down too long. Now let me come to St. Kitts Nevis now. I know how we're dealing with St. Kitts Nevis. But let's check out all of these political parties in St. Kitts Nevis. All of them. PAM, Boy from St. Paul's Party, CCM, NRP, PLP, could just come here today. But we know who control there. Cut from the boy from St. Paul's Party. But then the doctor is something, he got his fault and thing. But I could deal with them so far. And he's the best finance minister St. Kitts and Nevis have. So far, he's the best finance. Now, but succession plan, none of these parties in St. Kitts Nevis, none of them got no succession plan. Because they want all the misleaders, them want to hold on to power. The only one I hear to talk about that in some, in a kind of minuscule way, is Mark Brantley. I don't hear him talk about that. But all the others, especially the guy from St. Paul's, he will rather die, beloved. But you see, I blame the people of St. Kitts Nevis. Whatever party they support, they must demand. You see, they are cowards. They don't just support a party. They mislead, they do something. They keep their mouths shut. All them, beloved, in all the parties, them. They don't want to say anything. And if they do say anything, they say, oh, yeah, Kwame and Zinga. Oh, man, you hear this? In a private. But when you come and you meet the individual, they keep their mouth shut for party's sake. Not for country's thing, They're not talk up for the country, They'd rather go down with the party instead of saving the people and the country. But none of them have no succession plan. And they peddle seem neo-colonialistic thing. Whether they're young, old, in between, and they bring up these young politicians in this Eurocentric way, a continuum, and a Eurocentric, neo-colonialistic way, Westminster way, beloved. Come on, you can't get no improvement. That's the problem. None whatsoever. Just check all of them, the youngest politicians, them. Look at Jeffrey Hanley, peddling same old nonsense. A white boy from St. Paul and his cabal peddle. John L. Powell, he is just like a loose cannon. Young man, loose cannon. And this will come from brother, but me not afraid to talk. Look at sister from St. Paul, the senator, peddling is same nonsense from the boy from St. Paul's. But me not hear much about the sister, what's her name, Dr. Bernice Nisbet. I don't hear much about her. And she gonna come and peddle the same thing like a Dr. Harris, beloved. Up in Nevis, me don't know much about up here, so I'm speaking about that. But these are
Okay, let's go back to the phone. So I think we lost that caller.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Good morning, Mr. Knight.
Good morning, sir.
Succession planning. Yes, very important for the leadership in parties, but just not in parties. It transcends all levels of government, the public and private sector, and even down to the community and family levels. Right? Many a party has splintered and become defunct or become moribund because of this issue. Right? It's not dealt with or ignored or swept under the table or put off, and then you have problems. Often we hear of old people in government taking up space that younger people should be filling. We see organizations fall apart when a particularly effective or charismatic leader exits. We see businesses fail when the CEO who fostered a particularly successful business culture departs. Or if it's a family business and the wrong person takes over, we see failure there too. The fact is, succession planning, although it does not generally guarantee success, at least it signals renewal and change and growth. Most times. Not all times, because we all know that the successor can adopt or embrace the same characteristics as their mentor, and then nothing changes. I looked at it, for instance, at the launching of the new candidate, and in one, the new PAM candidate. And what I heard was her bona fides of ideology and PAM principles, whatever those are, which kind of makes her wedded to the past and doesn't bring anything new to the table, and suggests that they will, she will practice politics as usual. Even the Deputy Prime Minister was disappointing when he dodged the question on the good governance agenda asked of him by a reporter. I mean, he had the golden opportunity to ensure that he answers the question directly and differently from the current Prime Minister or the current position of the government, but he chose to run away from it. And that's unfortunate. That does not suggest that if he became Prime Minister tomorrow, for instance, that he'll shake up things. One of the difficulties, I think, of succession planning is that the leader has a web of supporters and hangers-on and family that he feels he must protect. And if he goes, they become vulnerable or their jobs are in jeopardy. And that kind of keep the status quo in place. It tends to make him want to stay, because it's not just him alone, him or her alone, but a whole lot of other people. Okay? A whole lot of other people's livelihoods and future depends on these charismatic and powerful politicians staying in place. The answer, I think, as undemocratic as it might be, because basically it does not allow for the majority to choose who they wish to lead them. I think the answer is term limits. Okay? That is going to guarantee that they're out of there after a particular term. Okay? Term limits, good governance, because if you have good governance, there is less inclination for people to stay in power and corrupt the system and become corrupted and corrupt other people. Okay? And finally, democracy. If you have democracy at all levels, where people accept things like the Constitution and what the majority wants, okay? then I think we'd be okay.
All right.
All right.
Even though I'm seeing a contradiction there with, democracy and undemocratic approach to solving the problem. Contradiction there for me, but that's your take. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
I'm on.
Yes, you're on. Good life.
Morning, how are you?
Good morning. I'm fine.
I agree with politics. Especially the last thing what he say. And please don't let nobody come on to be no back and forth when they know they're wrong. And to Mr. Trafman, he always want to say something to bring down the government. The government ain't doing him nothing. Tell him Harris again.
Okay. There you go, the back and forth. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yes, morning, Mr. Nias.
Good morning.
Mr. Nias, you're speaking of term limit.
Speaking of succession planning.
Mr. Nias, if only in this life we had hope, we would be like most men, miserable. Now, in regards to a government that would be headed by the returning King of Kings and Lord of Lords, his government shall have no end. Peace, justice would be guaranteed. And Mr. Nias, I read Psalm 8 to you the other day, where the Creator provided dominion, gave man dominion over the works of his hands, the earth, and all that is in the earth, the birds of the air, the fishes of the sea, the beasts, all creatures, and mankind have made a mess of it, to the extent that we now suffering from climate change. Climate change. And so, thanks be unto God. All hope is not lost. One of these days, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, will return to set up his government. Thanks be unto God. Our people, all those who are prepared, and I making an appeal for all who have not been born again to come now so that you can enjoy the reign of Jesus Christ, our Lord, when he come back to set up his government. May the lamb would lay down with the lion, and we would have peace and justice. Thank you very much, Mr. Nias.
Okay, thank you. Back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Nias.
Good morning.
And good morning to all the listeners at home and abroad. It is indeed a good day. And I say amen to what the last brother said. Now let me get first to the Ethiopian issue raised by my good friend Journey. Good morning, Journey. Hope you're doing well. Now, we as black people have a problem in holding our leaders accountable. Plain and simple. You had the issue with Ethiopia and Eritrea. Ethiopia, I was listening to a video. It says Ethiopia has about 18 tribes. And after all these years, they still have not been able to consolidate as one country. Every tribe wants their own country. And they are the ones who draw in people from outside. Because when they said that the people were being starved in Tigray, it's not true. They lied. So we must hold our leaders accountable. Now, the issue of succession. There was this belief, the divine right of kings, where some in the long time days, the king felt he was ordained by God to rule the country. And whatever he did was right. It has been modified now into the politician in power has the divine right to rule, and anybody who suggests that he move is considered sacrilege. Look at it, you see. They have conventions or whatever every year, and they run unopposed. You want to tell me that nobody in there has the potential? And they don't even say, well, Mr. Nias is on the training to succeed. or all of the young people. They don't have primaries. In a party, you should have a primary. Just like you see in America, right? You must have primaries within the constituencies and then again across the constituencies. But we don't do that. And we are people who do not hold our leaders accountable because we subscribe to the divine right of the political leader. Now you're going to tell me, you're leading, whether your party whether they win or they lose, after a while you become worn out. Physically, mentally, emotionally, it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll. And it's worse if you are one of those who feel that everybody planning to undermine you. Then you become like one of our African leaders, or like the old-time British one, just execute. They accuse and execute anybody under them who they see have potential, rather than harvesting the potential of the person showing leadership skill. They create all sort of chaos. Accusation, he want it now, he want it now. When the truth is, it is time for you to go now. I, for one, subscribe to term limits, you know. When you go in, you know when you're coming out. So if you plan to steal all, you could steal all you want in 2 terms. Shortening the term, I mean you can steal less. But at least we know. You're not going to be there forever. Because after a while, they become so pompous and act as if the country is there. Now you want to tell me the Labour Party, in particular, has suffered historically from lack of succession planning. You had Mr. Bratcher. He died. Then they had one big fight as to who he said must lead. So, Mr. Southwell thought it was him. Limo and Fitzroy said no, can't be him. Charlie Mills said he was told to hold strain. That eventually led to the breakup of the party. So when they had the conference for the union, Limo took it upon himself to disenfranchise Mr. Southwell. And then he got in. He didn't even well get in. He was thrown out by those supporting Dr. Douglas. So the whole thing continues. Now Dr. Douglas is being challenged by supporters of Dr. Drew. How is he going to deal with Dr. Drew? Because he either has to deal with him the way he dealt with Timothy Harris, you know, demonize him in the eyes of the people and push him out. You know, so it is so sad.
Okay.
All right then.
All right, let's go back. We lost that caller. All right. Interesting stuff all the way around. Everybody has their say on how they feel on the subject. It is a subject that is always there. Sometimes we don't want to touch it, but I'm dealing with it from a general perspective. Not necessarily any specific person, even though some callers have referenced specific politicians, but dealing with the subject more general, politicians in general, wherever they may be found in this world. Seems to be a problem with their psyche, you know, that they don't want to give up. All right, so let's go back to the phones. Okay, we got a caller there. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Nair.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, you're on the topic of succession and succession plans, all right? But up to yesterday, we see a bad speed of it. Not saying that you mustn't move, go get new people and stuff like that. But the way you do things, you know, could cause confusion and create problems among the same people, you know, people who's supposed to be together. Now, yesterday, launches a new candidate in constituency wants. And you heard that invitation went out to people for if they want to be the candidate, and this lady was, being successful. But I don't know. I didn't hear of it. I don't know. Maybe you heard of it because probably you're more closer. You probably knew of it or heard of it. But yet, you had somebody who was there, the person who just ran a year ago, but that's in that same thing, for that same party. But you heard nothing of them yesterday. The chairman, I think only one person maybe make a brief thing about him was the leader of the party and the deputy prime minister. But you had other candidates, nobody, chairman, nobody make no mention of him, not even the person who succeeded with him, make any mention of him. Now, we had, remember Palm had a situation like that in 91, 92, over here, when, the former leader then, the leader of Candid and the Prime Minister, Dr. Kennedy, there was a fall between he and his deputy. And we see how that happened. It caused Pam that seat. Let's say now, because what I think political party and people doesn't seem to understand that a candidate has personal support. How much personal support does they have? They don't know, and when they do find out, it'll be too late. Pam found out too late how much support Powell had then, because the support was enough to cause Pam defeat. And could that be the same in the next election? We don't know. It could be, because you don't know how much support parties are. Support parties decide, well, okay, I'm going to run independence up here. You see, you come stay in the wilderness, going back in the wilderness in that constituency again. So sometimes when we're doing things, we can make it be too personal, like we, showing people that, it's a personal thing between we and who we move in a way, and them kind of stuff. And that appears so yesterday when you hear some people talk, and they shouldn't be, because Patches has support up there too. He still has support. So if they're thinking that you don't have any support, they're lying. And I believe Patches did not win the seat last year because his own people sabotaged him. And I hold no hard time when saying that Patches was sabotaged by his own people in last election. That's why he didn't return in that constituency. So let's hope that Patches move beyond that and support the lady. And I think she should have been Patches should have been handed over to her yesterday. And she should be reaching out to Patches, because if she thinks she can just go and win because of and forget ignore Patches, I think she might be in the wilderness forward. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yes, my brother. I don't ever get cut off deliberately or accidentally. No, brother. So I continue to say, I'm with Sister Gray. I'm not judging her because she just entered. But, brother, I believe, I don't know for sure, but I believe she gonna go down the same road, beloved. So, brother, in closing, the only solution when it comes to politically in St. Kitts Nevis, beloved brother, we need a Pan-African political movement, beloved. Young Pan-Africanist sisters and brothers, and that's the only solution, my beloved brother. Because we have seen from since the time of Bratcher up to now, I'm not saying he ain't had good people, he had some good people. From Bratcher, he had Mr. Southwell and a couple others. Dr. Simmons, good man. Mr. Powell, regardless of what you think about it, he was a good man in some extent, beloved. Now this administration, they got one or two good people, but where is the Pan-Africanism. Where's the Pan-Africanist in this political party? Zip, none. Absence, total absence, beloved. And that is what we need in St. Kitts and Nevis, because we enjoy this neo-colonialistic, Eurocentric mentality in these political parties. All of them have failed miserably. And, beloved, so we can't continue in that old-time, backward Eurocentric way of, beloved, when it comes to politics. But continue to listen, keep up the great works. Pan-Africanism our Paris. One love, my beloved brother.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. One love. Pan-Africanists will come. Keep hope alive. All right, let's go back to the phones. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Dumpling.
Yes, Dumpling.
Before this deal, people listening, Shani speak about patches. She said how she worked with him the first term, and she didn't get to work with him the second term. She went and she helped Daniel. They must listen before they come on the radio and speak. So she good to defend herself, to speak about patches. Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you listened so you could put us straight, right? That's the idea. All right. Thank you all for your comments, suggestions, all the phone calls, your input on the topic. We have much more topics to go through and all got passionate responses. I'm Tony Nass. Go out and have a great rest of today. See you tomorrow.